You do not want to fail this brain test for early dementia. It's only a 30-second test. I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen out right now, and I'm going to do the test with you. Early dementia is not just about memory loss. It could also be about the speed at which you process information is slowed down, your attention, your focus. We're going to take the 30-second test together to see if there's any issues with early dementia. This is actually called the clock drawing test. When I press start, you're going to draw a clock with the time set at 10 minutes after 11 o'clock. And then after the test, I'm going to show you what to do if you have a problem with dementia. Okay, are you ready? All right, start. Okay, stop. This is what I have right here. You could see this thing right there. First question is, were there any numbers that were jumbled up or missing? Did you write in all 12 numbers, all spaced out correctly? Were the hands of the clock facing in the right directions? Did you reverse the hour and the minute hands, or did you have that correct? Or did you not complete this project in 30 seconds? Now, what's interesting about this test is that it's one of the most sensitive indicators for early cognitive deficits. And it's even more accurate than memory tests, which is pretty wild. Certain neurologists use this in early indicators of Alzheimer's, dementia. So if you didn't pass that test, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you what to do to reverse early dementia. And by the time you get 50, it starts to accelerate. And so the big question is, what causes dementia? One of the biggest things that starts to break down the brain is sugar. Sugar shrinks the brain, especially a part of the brain called the hippocampus, which is all about memory. In fact, look at type 2 diabetes or the diabetic. They have a lot of brain issues. This is why Alzheimer's is called type 3 diabetes. But there's other things that also can cause this problem. Chronic stress, and they're more at risk for cognitive problems. What's really wild is one night of bad sleep causes the brain to be just a little bit smaller and even can create a little plaquing that begins. Why is that? Because one of the purposes of sleep is to detoxify the brain. The question is, how do we reverse this shrinkage? How do we protect our brains from getting early dementia in the first place? There are two things we want to increase in the brain. One is something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, because it helps to grow brain tissue and it helps to prevent cognitive problems and depression and all sorts of problems with the brain. And now I'm going to go through things that can increase your BDNF. And the last one being the most powerful. Number one, intermittent fasting increases BDNF, especially when you start doing a 16-hour fasting cycle with an 8-hour eating window, which actually is very easy to do. Number two, cold therapy, whether it's a cold shower or a cold plunge. When you start introducing this cold therapy, oh my gosh, it's amazing what it does for the brain. It creates all sorts of stress that indirectly activate certain systems that help you become very alert. Your mood starts changing. If you had a lower mood, you're going to end up with a much higher mood. It's really good for people who have depression and especially anxiety. And of course, people have anxiety about getting into the cold bath because every single cell in your body is saying no. But the way that I deal with it is I just basically tell my body, you're getting in, you don't have a choice. And then all of a sudden I'm calm and I focus my attention going outward. I don't focus on the cold. It works. Next one is deep sleep. Getting deep sleep detoxifies the brain. It's one of the most potent things to help heal the brain and recovery of the entire body, especially for dementia. Next one is learning difficult tasks or skills. In other words, challenging your mental state to do certain things and learn things can actually increase BDNF. And the last most powerful thing to increase BDNF is high intensity interval training, especially as you get older. And that type of exercise is the most potent to increase your brain function. And of course, having a sedentary lifestyle where you don't exercise, your brain just shrivels up. What's the other thing now that can help reverse dementia or even protect you against dementia? Ketones. Ketones are an alternative fuel to glucose, and they're really good for the brain. How do we increase ketones? Low carb diet. Bring your carbs way down. And by doing that, you're opposing the thing that actually causes dementia, which is high sugar in the blood. A low carb diet can reverse diabetes in 10 weeks. Then we get into MCT oil, coconut oil that has ketones. You can feed your brain. You can actually take ketones as a supplement. That's actually really good for someone that has dementia. Another thing that you could do to boost up your ketones is we want to keep the insulin low. If you keep your protein in a moderate amount and not too high, you can also keep your insulin a little bit lower and get into deeper ketosis. So to get into ketosis, it's not about like having a massive amount of protein. You want a moderate amount of protein, but you don't want to worry about restricting your fats. Tell me how you did on the test. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.